Copeland. You may have heard Bert Copeland say earlier that this is a real problem for him because as a Red Cross instructor, I had to attend an annual review. Well, the person in charge of all the instructors, the head instructor, informed us at the Christmas meeting that this would be a short meeting and it wouldn't take long at all. And he proceeded to read word for word everything on 87 slides. So I don't know how many of you have heard the term death by PowerPoint, but that's what we're talking about. None of us were present. We zoned out of that presentation minutes into it because we just realized that this person was going to sit there and he was going to read every single thing that was on the slide. Now, when you study presentation software in Toastmasters, the big thing is why presentation software? Well, one of the main things is you can increase the audience engagement with presentation software and you can reinforce key points. But it's not there for you to focus on. So the speaker ought to be the main thing on the presentation software. So I'm going to send whoever can tell me what this instrument is $1 if they can tell me the name of that instrument. I don't see any hands going up. I can't pronounce the name of that instrument, but I can tell you every time I go to my optometrist, I look through that. And you know the drill they pull, which is better, this one or this one? And that's how we're going to do the slides tonight. Now, as an example of that first slide that I want to talk about was the meeting that I was at where the guy says, this is not going to take long. That's what I got. That's what we were hit with. And he read every single word. Now, I don't know about you, but when somebody starts that, I just zone out. I go, print it for me and I'll read it because I don't need you. I really don't need you. What about if you took that same information and you put it in like that? It's the same stuff, the same information, but it's laid out a little differently. It's a little bit more appealing. It catches the eye better because you have to understand when you're using presentation software, that's where your people's eyes are. And that's one of the reasons I like this in Zoom is because I can put myself up back in the middle of the picture where I need to be. The next thing that people do a lot is they do wild colors. They put things up there that are just astronomically wild. They think that really looks great. Well, if you're using a program like PowerPoint, and I believe Keynote on the Mac side has this also, they have a thing in there that, you know, in itself, this slide wouldn't be bad, but it's got a lot of clashing colors going on to it. But if you go into PowerPoint, when you go up into the top, into the design section, you can actually pull down the color palette. And those, if you check that, then when you do your slides, those are the colors that we'll use. And that's a real handy feature because a lot of times, and I'm going to stop my presentation, I'm not going to stop for the timer, but I'm going to tell you right now, those of you that have been dealing with me for the last 5 years, remember all the times I went in before we even got on Zoom and all the fun I had doing slides on PowerPoint. It has been a continual nightmare for me. And I can tell you that everything I'm talking about on these slides, I have done in spades. I have done the wrong things. Now, there's nothing wrong with colors, but you want to use complementary colors to highlight your slides. Then somebody could say, well, this is what my old slides used to look like. Well, that's basically what I want to get you to, but you can lay it out differently. Now, that's the same information, but it's just laid out differently. And then I can talk about the key points, but I'm not putting every word behind the 1, 2, and 3 behind there. And there's another thing. I was at a slideshow, somebody was giving their icebreaker, and they put 5 pictures up there. Which one was I supposed to look at? What were we talking about? You have to keep, if you're going to use graphics, you have to keep it simple. I'm going to come down to the end of this, thank God, all my 100 slides. There's 2 things, actually 3. Mark Twain said once upon a time, if I had more time, I'd write a shorter speech. And that's the way you ought to be with online presentations. Craig Valentine, the world champion of public speaking a number of years ago, had a 2-day seminar, 2 full days. He used 8 slides. So the focus is not the slides, it's you. And so I want you to keep that in mind, that simpler is better. And I want you to keep the rules, 2 simple rules in mind. Make it engaging and make it clear. When you do that, you're not going to have people reading.